All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our January meeting of the Federation membership. I'm Ryan Setzer, President of the Federation. Welcome back to anybody who's been away for the season. I hope your summer was great and you're here to enjoy some good warm weather and keep it warm. Let's start with a roll call. Ma Beth will take us through that.
Andover A, absent. Andover D. We did? Okay, Andover D present. Andover E, absent. Andover H. You got G absent. Andover G. I think I'm checking Mr. That's one D and E. Andover G, absent. Andover H, absent. Andover I, absent. Bedford A, absent. Bedford B, absent. Bedford C, absent. Bedford F. I have Bedford D. Bedford D. Absent. Bedford F. Absent. Bedford H. Bedford J. Absent. Brookfield. Absent. Cambridge C.
Here.
Last name.
William Coolers.
Thank you.
Cambridge E. Absent. Cambridge F. Absent. F.
Here.
Name.
Lynch.
I think you did a while ago.
No, you're H. So F is absent.
F is absent. Cambridge F. Absent. Cambridge K. Absent. Cambridge L. Absent. Canton Court D. Absent. Corinth. Absent. Devonshire. Absent. Dorchester D. Absent. Edinburgh or Edinburgh. Absent. Fairborn. Absent. Fairfield B. Absent. Fairfield F. Absent. Gloucester G. Absent. Gloucester H. Absent. Gloucester J. Absent. Gloucester K. Absent. Gloucester L.
Foul.
L. Gloucester L.
Thank you.
Gloucester M. Absent. Gloucester N. Absent. Highgate B. Absent. Highgate E. Absent. Highgate F. Absent. Highgate 3. Absent. Huntington. Absent. Inverness. Absent. Knowles 1. Absent. Knowles 2, absent. Knowles 3, absent. Lancaster 4, absent. Lyndhurst,
Here.
last name please.
Kunzler.
Thank you.
Manchester 1, absent. Manchester 2, last name. Nantucket 1.
Here, Betty Payton.
Dedicated.
Thank you.
Oakley Green, absent. Quail Pass, absent. Somerset, absent. Mr. President, you have a quorum of 68% with 69 association.
Here. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I call the meeting to order, and if you would join me in pledging allegiance to the flag. Thank you. Do we have anybody on the roster for open forum?
I do. I didn't put my name on.
Are you going to go open forum?
No, yeah, I'm gonna go open forum. I'll
Open
do
forum.
it at the good.
We have nothing on the agenda today that's unfinished business or new business, so it's hard to have an open forum.
I understand that, but there is, if it's needs of the community, this is a membership.
All right,
meeting.
if you're on the list, you're good. I'm good with it. I've got two. One will be good and welfare. And you didn't put your name on the list, right?
I didn't put my name on the list because I didn't do it until I talked to my district representative first.
You want to do something open forum? Come on
I
up.
do,
Mike.
thank you. Mike Cardell. Mike Cardell, Oxford One president. I didn't plan on open forum because I didn't feel it was appropriate until I had told my district representative what I wanted to talk about prior. And I had made calls 2 days prior and we hadn't been able to make contact. What I want to talk about is insurance. And that affects everybody in this room. It's $750 million for our insurance. What I have come to find out recently is that we have dissolved the insurance committee that had an overwhelming experience in that industry. It is now going to be represented by 4 members of the board. If I say something incorrect, I'd be glad to stand corrected, but my understanding is none of those board members have an insurance degree, insurance background, insurance license, other than getting a personal automobile or home insurance. This is a lot of money. You don't have to look too far to find out Mexico Beach, neighborhoods that will not be rebuilt because you don't get carriers that can afford the loss. And that is the basis of my concern for not just me, but for the residents in here. If you get an insurance company, I don't care what they tell you, but if they don't have the pockets in which to afford the loss, you won't be rebuilt, and they'll give you an IOU. But that isn't going to help you. And for a lot of us in here, that means everything, and that is my concern. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. You went down a path I didn't expect this morning to go down, but I do have a 15-page document that we've done extensive research dating all the way back to 2016 and before, relative to the processes, procedures, and those people involved in the committee. And there have been some, let's say, not necessarily complete improprieties, but the state has been contacted. There are people that had experience, but that experience was not necessarily vetted out as putting across proper information. So we made this decision not out of just a whim and an effort to make a change. We've actually looked at it. I didn't plan on discussing it, but I do have a 15-page document that could be made available at some point. I don't want to go that route because I am in contact with the state insurance commissions right now. So we are in the process of doing some things that need to be handled. That's why, by the way, that's why the process has been changed and put in and taken out of, quote, the committee, but it's still put in the hands of qualified people and looking at it, because both our law firms and all the people involved actually have insurance divisions that are overseeing this from a correct and proper standpoint. So you're not at risk in any way, and once you see our report, we may have been a little bit at risk at certain levels on other things, or not informed in other accurately in other ways. So that's where we're at right now with that. That's just we're ready to kind of explain that, but it's going to be about another meeting in the future. And again, we're going for a true RFP, so we're not looking for an insurance policy. We're looking for an insurance provider. Carriers are the most important thing. Agents are a dime a dozen. Carriers are the most important thing. The nation, for a property this size, should be examined, not just a local marketplace such as Florida. So we've looked at it, we've addressed it properly. I appreciate your concern, and I appreciate what you said. I think we take care. We'll come out with the whole thing, so we explain it properly and completely. I'm just not ready to do that as of today. Fair enough?
But you mentioned something just now, the State Department of Insurance.
Sure.
You can't be involved, because as I know, your son is a bidder.
Oh, I can talk to the State Department relative to not necessarily something relative to the bid at all.
But you should not be involved in insurance. We went over this before with other things. You should be totally divested of any of this. Someone else on the board.
I understand that, and because the EMT has received so much money for donations from our agent for so long and being provided, I've got a conflict of interest with you right now, Mike, as well. And the EMT. There's $23,000 worth of donations. I'm happy about that for you. But it was given in lieu of looking outside of our current agent, when another agency came in 2016 and kind of forced the issue of $1.2 million drop in a premium, and our guy then suddenly miraculously comes up with $1.2 million drop on their own. And we decided to go with them. I've got reports. I've looked at it. I've got statements and reports that are absolutely bogus and wrong. Do you want to walk down this path right now in front of these people without talking about it?
Yeah, it doesn't bother me at all. I got nothing to hide.
Because you're on that committee and you're on that thing. So we
I'm
do
on
have
what committee?
you were involved in the board and the committee, as part of that process.
Point of order, Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
It's not on the agenda.
Thank you. Thank you. So at this point, everybody will get to hear it. We've done our research. We've done our due diligence. We've lived up to our fiduciary. We made a decision that we believe is going to be best for this community. We've got two of the largest insurance agencies in the world now looking at this, not just a nice guy from Delray Beach. I get it. I get the connection. I get that everybody likes this guy. I get it. But in the end, I'm looking for the best coverage at the most affordable price with the biggest players for a big community like this, which I think is going to be better long term. So I thank you, but I'll accept your point of order. Thank you, Chris. All right, so thank you, Mike, for expressing your concern this morning. We'll chat more.
Mike, I know it's not on the agenda. I know you raised the issue of Ryan and a conflict of interest. Understand that the report that was done was not done by Ryan alone. It was done with research by myself and Dan Hector, two of the board members. It was presented to the board by Dan Hector and myself, along with Ryan. So there was more than, and just so the residents understand, there was more than Ryan involved in this. There was other board members. It was brought before the board, and it was the decision of the board to basically, for the RFP process, to work with our attorney.
Again, Mr. President, point of order.
All right,
It's already been done.
I think you've stated it. Thank you, Jack, and thank you, Chris. All right, let's go to the next. The rest of the open forum stuff list will be good and welfare, because these are good and welfare points. I've got two people on there. All right. Approval of the minutes. I need a motion to approve the minutes from November 15th.
So moved.
So moved. Second? Second. All right. All those in favor? So moved as written. And if you have questions or changes, please contact Janice. We'll go from there. We have reports today. We'll start with Rick Oswell from First Service.
Good morning. Good morning. The financial statements are continuing to be completed by the 21st of the month, and also during the budget process the last month, because we didn't meet with you all in December, all of the associations, I really want to say how much I appreciate all of your help in getting the draft of the first budgets, your budgets, back into us. Your final budget, that in a sense goes in the second mailing for your annual meeting. So thank you for your help on that, working with your managers. If you need, as you go through the process of understanding financials, etc., working with your CAM and working with Debbie Lauber. Come on in, sit down. We don't have a cafe there, but okay. Bring your coffee, and we'll work with you to get your answers for understanding the financials. Next. The 2020 annual meetings, as I was alluding to, you've done a lot of work. The managers have put together a lot of information that you've supplied. We're now past the first notices. We're now into our second notices, and there's information. Sometimes if you had amendments, you have proxies that you need to be submitting back, or if it's an election, if you have more candidates than positions open, you'll have an election. Please submit back those ballot forms in the correct envelope so that your vote can be counted. And at the organization meeting, where you select as a board your new officers and go through the various paperwork at that time for your bank signatures, all of the and you also approve your budget. All of that is put together from that meeting by your manager. Bring all the paperwork back to the office, make sure that everything gets properly logged, etc. And your budget goes to Debbie Lauber, who puts it into our Connect accounting system. And that has to be reviewed by our various divisions within First Service to make sure that everything is accurate. And that is the process that I do, Debbie does, and also our corporate office, so that generates your coupons. And those coupons, as you know, you'll be notified of those late February, March, so that April 1st, I know it's going to come quick, we'll be all ready for it. To date, 28 associations have completed your annual meetings and your organization meeting. And so I want to congratulate all those newly elected officials, officers, board members, committee members. So the next slide says, board certification. Now that you're official as a new board member or a board member that needs to have a revision, the date that you want to put on your calendar is Monday, February 24th. That's going to be here, right here, just either the same format that you're sitting at right now, or we'll have the round tables. And the attorney, Webb Melton from Bush Ross, who's certified, does these board certifications, and his assistant, they will be coming and presenting the board certification. It's a 2-hour course. It's a requirement in lieu of, per Florida statutes, you reading every one of your documents and signing that you've read every one of your documents, even though I know you want to read every one of your documents, a signed document. So those two things. Come to the course, you'll get a certification that you're qualified, meet state statute, or don't come and you have to read all the documents and sign a form for the manager. So we're highly recommending come here. First service also, and some people like better hors d'oeuvres in other places, so first service also has many other board certification courses. We want you to come here, but in case your schedule doesn't permit that, we want you to attend one of first services. So work with your community manager to make sure that you get and meet. You have 90 days, by the way, 90 days per statute to meet this certificate qualification. Thanks for your help on that. Next. Property transfers, as you can see, they really accelerated, going up over 600 in 2015, up and down since then, and so we now this year have 517 is what we ended up with last year. Next, lease, and the leases slightly on the same trend pattern, down 497 is what we ended up with for the number of leases. Next. I know this is a lot of numbers, but once you see this, and you'll see it up on the website, I believe, as far as an attachment, Mabel's going to take care of that. What we do, Denny Shapaka and her team at the front desk activities, this is where I get to match Ginger's numbers. I just do it once a year primarily, and this is it. We had phone calls, 26,866 phone calls last year. We have had, thanks to y'all, 10,069 Terminex pest control schedules. We had documents, people, owners that wanted documents for whether it's a refinancing of a loan or a new property. We had information, 558 of those. Condo questionnaires, we had 209 in the same aspect. Foot traffic, we didn't have any golf carts come through, so we had we were not a drive-in. You had 29,121. Emergency contact forms, y'all have done really well on that, 1,473. And the transfer application process and the lease application process, thanks to everybody in this room, you know how Denny in our office calls you and says, hey, we got a transfer application, we got a lease application, and so you help us process with the customer that's across the counter from the ladies at the front desk, so thank you. Notary services, 4,767 notary services, and I think we probably have 4 or 5 of us at the office there. I'm a notary, and they'll grab me if we run out of a notary. So we appreciate the opportunity of being able to have that service for you. And then orientation participants, we had over 170 of those. So that's my numbers. Oh, sorry. Oh, well, this is 2019, last year. Oh, in the column?
That's how many there were.
That's how many they were in 2018. So this is comparing. You just want me to say more numbers to match it. I didn't do a graph on this one, Ginger. Next time, if you want me to do a graph, I will do a graph on this one. She loves numbers, and I appreciate Ginger. We have, and Rudy and Matt, great working relationship. Thank you for that. I'll take that 2 cents of yours. OLM completed their graded inspection just before Christmas, and that report is up on the kpscc.com website. They'll be having a graded inspection on January 27, 28, 29. You don't have to back up on the slide, but I'll put it right here. First Service Residential, we are developing customer service, which is back to that other slide, customer service procedures for servicing both buildings. We will now have staff and First Service Residential staff in both buildings, 1904, where we have the lobby, and 1902, where other staff will be over there for the master. First Service is migrating all of our servers and all of our data and everything to the cloud. It's called Citrix, but we'll just say for all of us the cloud, on March 13th. So there's no need for any cables, any of that stuff anymore. So First Service is going that way nationally and globally. So that's a good thing for us. We'll be able to have access, all of our managers have access 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for help and serve you. Landscape, we're continuing to monitor and we tabulate the schedules that each one of the managers, or each one of the landscape contractors put in. Down at the bottom, Dave McGraw is going to speak more of this, the POC Landscape Workshop. Write that date down. If you're on the board, POC for landscape, February 28th, next month. All right, next slide. Oh, it's you'll get more information on it. We're having it in 3 different, Dave's going to give more detail on this, right Dave? I'm just going to say, let Dave give you more detail on that, but he'll give you the times and the sections. Another opportunity for you all. These, as you know, we have been for all the years going POC at fsresidential.com. With First Service's new website, we now, thanks to Mabel and Susan Friedel in our corporate office, they have now opened up with the new website and all the bells and whistles that it has. It now affords you as board members, and Dave's going to have more detail on this. This is just, I'm giving you the sneak preview talk, so I don't want to give anything away, because it's going to let Dave talk more about that also. We're going to be having you do your work orders in your community's website. So that's a new good thing that's going to be, you'll have more information. And you can see our work orders, thanks to the landscapers, thanks to y'all putting in those work orders. The work is getting done and followed up and tracked accordingly. Next. Now, you all saw some of this picture last year. I just kind of wanted to know, how are we doing this year? Last year we had a refrigerator, and we had not just one mattress, we probably had several mattresses. Okay? After, and as you know, this is a problem because if you have anything in front of these containers, and it happens to be on Wednesday or Saturday, they can't pick it up. Okay? The waste management company cannot pick it up. So, this week, a board member and myself, Dan, he was the tabulator, I was the driver, we went to 87 dumpsters. Every dumpster, every container, dumpster, whatever you want to call it, here. And this week, after looking and doing the inventory on this, because we're getting ready for the RFP later this summer, we only saw 2 bags of trash right here, and 1 palm front, and 1 truck. Right in front there. So, we think you've done a fantastic job of improving. We didn't see this up here. Didn't see it at all. And I know you all are policing and doing your best to educate. I saw more signs that says what these are dumpsters and containers are used for. So thank you. Thank you. And by the way, the recycle bins and the containers, and you working with your community managers, if they need to be replaced, they're being replaced. But we even documented what was a 2-yard 7 years ago when the contract was put, it might be a 4. So we'll do information for you on that to get your input. But just to let you know, great job, a great scorecard on this one, 2 out of 87. You're doing good. Keep up the good work. Next. And again, we thank you. We had, as I mentioned, for emergency information, you put in almost 1,500 forms for us to update for your emergency. And I get to do one thing, right? And we're all going to do this. You were maybe given a flyer for the Disaster Planning 2020. This one is for the residents. Tuesday, February 25th. Mark your calendar on that one. You'll have more information coming on that. And I'm hoping, Ginger, I hope you have that too. So, anyways, thank you. Appreciate the opportunity working with you. You're doing a great job. Have those that haven't had your annual meetings, keep going there. And thank you for volunteering for your boards, for your community, for your association. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. We'll go next to Ginger with the Vesta report.
All righty. Good morning. Let's get started. Here's your entertainment numbers. The 2019-20 Winter Series is off to a good start. We've got over 6,300 tickets sold, collecting over 137,000, just shy of 138 in revenue thus far, covering the cost of that entertainment. It's been a very good year, and those the shows are very, actually a lot, you might know if you go to them, a lot more people in the audience than in some of the prior years, so we're tracking those. We've done a lot heavier promotion through Matthew and his efforts. We've got a lot more attendance, so empty seats or lost opportunity, and we're doing quite nicely there. Next up, Glenn Miller Orchestra on January 23rd. Hello. Okay, so on a couple of upcoming events here, the garage sale lottery is on Monday, February 10th. That's the lottery, okay? The actual spring garage sale is on March 6th. As you know, that Friday, it's resident only. You all be nice to each other out there. It does get a little hot in the theater during the garage sale. March 7th, then it is open to KP and the CA. And in the spring, we always have the spring fling. We began this many, many years ago. It is March 13th. Always very well received. Lots of vendors and food trucks and a lot of fun. We've got food and the market, etc. So that'll be from 10 to 2. Another upcoming event, it's a return engagement. The produce farmers market had left. And they just, you know, they're a business. They need to make it here as well. And Matt talked to Mr. Wolf, and he's agreed to come back on Wednesdays. That begins February 12th. It'll be out in the same location from 9 to 3. These folks are so nice. If you've ever gone out and, you know, shop through their produce, a lot of times they're just giving you some stuff, you know, like, well, you might do better if you didn't give the produce away, but they are very kind, and it's just wonderful to have them come in here. So thanks again to the Wolf Market for taking another risk on Kings Point and coming back. We have a brand new upcoming event. This is going to be Woodstock, a Kings Point Music Festival. We don't have a date on this yet, but we're looking for late March or early April. Bring your blankets and chairs, your headbands and peace beads. There'll be food and drink, and it'll just be 3 hours of music, and we'll just have some fun with that. Fitness and spa usage. Here you can see the December usage over the year usage, and you can see those 2 arrows year over year. At the bottom, the combined 107,000 visits for 6 months. The very first year we opened the fitness program, we had 40,000 for the year. So as you can see by this, it's been a consistent increase year over year. That's 2017, 18, and 19. It has always gone up. I look to see the year where fitness trends will go down. That's kind of a curiosity for geeks like us that look at numbers all the time. So it's always a good thing when you see more activity. And in your spa usage, here it is for December, very busy month, 878 services performed. And here's the clients from the CA Salon and Spa program for the month of December, 43 patrons, bringing in 2,600. For those of you who prefer to see it in graph form, 1920 for April through December. It doesn't look like it's edged up very much, but you can see those are some pretty big chunks there on the y-axis there, 150 up to 200,000. And it's that time of year again. Several of our exercise classes during peak season have to be Kings Point resident only. No guests are permitted to attend these ticketed classes, so residents need to come in and get their, with their Kings Point badge at the front desk to get a ticket for these shows, the chair yoga on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, the Zumba, and the Flex and Flow, and those are posted. If you have any questions, you can see Jennifer over at the 2020. And here's your guest pass, pointer ad sales. I won't read all these numbers, but a note on the armband events, we've done 128 events. 4.8% of them are guests, and those folks do buy guest passes to attend those events. Look at those numbers a little bit. I'm sorry, at the top where it says guest pass and badge, it says 1,800 plus the 38. The 38 are the replacement badges. People need to hang on to those. Here's your lottery sales. Total prizes to date, we just tipped over the $500,000 mark paid out in scratch-offs. Kings Point received $576 from the state of Florida on lottery sales in December. Recreation and transportation numbers, always a busy month, 13 trips, went out with 88% occupancy. On your projects, we have the golf cart gate repairs have been completed. We replaced the concrete slab. The chassis had to be rebuilt, and the golf cart gate is fully functional at the time. The person that did that damage has been sent an invoice for $3,483. Haven't heard back from her yet. 2020 fitness flooring replacement is scheduled for mid-April after season, because we'll have to close the fitness center and move the equipment and things. The upstairs hallway will be done on February 29th. We got them to come out on a Saturday to try and not impact any activities up there. 1902 COA floor, they had some water intrusion problems there. That's been completed, and the oldest lawn bowling green is being resodded. That's underway. At the South Club, there's going to be some restroom renovation work done, again, mid-April. And then look for this notice. Have you all seen these big yellow kind of obnoxious papers around? Please do read it. This has to do with the backflow prevention. They should be papered all over the place. Oops, wrong way. The backflow preventer project will be done on Friday, January 24th. On the left column, you can see the notice of the all-day closings. That will be La Perque, the card room, Waterside, Atrium, Fiber Arts Studio, the billiards, locker rooms, and all the pools. Partial closing pending the county letting us open back up. We think it'll be about 12 o'clock, but those will be I won't read that list to you. If you have any questions of your area, please see Tosh at the front office. It also impacts 1902 and 1904, and then of course Mr. Dowswell and his team have notified the Cambridge and the residents that will be impacted. Working with the county is always quite a challenge, And it kind of got a little bit of scope creep where we couldn't be told with 100% assurity, so we ended up having to pull the first date, and then we went back, and so this is the day, January 24th, Friday. The 2020 will not be open at 6:30, even though it opens earlier than 8 o'clock. It will be closed that morning until we are given the green light to go ahead. Bear with us. We know that can be frustrating, but we'll get it done as soon as possible. What are these? Is this like something out of Star Wars, little R2-D2 or something like that? These are actually cell phone chargers at a request, because you see these in many locations. I'm sure you all have seen them in airports and different public places. Even doctors' offices have them. Everybody has a little computer in their hand everywhere they go. So we do have at the clubhouse lobby, the South Club Bar in 2020. So if you're losing your charge, you need to fire up a little bit. Those are available for your use. And in our operations data here, we have passes issued at the gate for December, 13,700. And we had a number of incident reports, and you can see the numbers. I won't read through all of these. But I do want to note the number of phone calls, Rick, just saying. You had, I did note that. We have fun sparring with each other. You had 26,500 some for the year. We had 12,600 for the month of December. You know, you either laugh about this or cry, so, you know, we choose to laugh and have fun with each other, so. Yeah. Reminder, please do not park on the grass. Again, we just want to keep reinforcing, help protect the grass, the irrigation valves and heads, only in permitted areas for golf carts, not vehicles. We allow that, the North Court Complex for lawn bowling and shuffleboard. We have cornhole, people in pickleball can park in the spot over by that area. We will be adding some chains and bollards to kind of force people to go in, you know, the little, let's call it the driveway where you can park for the golf cart parts, but no vehicles in those areas, please. And then I think those aren't on your slides. Yeah, it got cut off on the slides. We also have overflow parking at the South Club. If you recall, Club Link offered Scepter's golf cart staging area for extra golf cart parking. It's available on your high traffic nights, Monday trivia, Tuesday karaoke, rock and rendezvous, etc. So that's my report, Mr. President. Thank you.
Before you end, Ginger,
Yes.
I have been approached by a number of residents, and I don't mean to put you on the spot,
But
maybe
you will.
can, yeah, but I will. Maybe you can explain why the flooring in the fitness center is being replaced,
Yep.
because a lot of people have, why are you doing it, why are you doing it,
Right.
why are you doing it? And I think some explanation would be good for the members.
Sure. I'll try to stay high level here because it is a long drawn out story. In 2014, when we opened, some of you may remember when we went to have our grand opening, it actually got stopped and we had to reschedule it because they had water and seepage coming up through the slab of that building. We had engineers, we had all sorts of folks, and when we laid the carpet, it remained damp. They did a barrier, they did the humidity testing, all that sort of thing. We ended up having the carpet installed. And just over time, it's been 6 years now, and we have dehumidifiers in there. The last thing you ever want in a commercial building to grow from moisture is what? Mold, right. Got a lot of people in there breathing in there for trying to improve their health. So we had onerous tests done, even to the point where we had locked out the elevator, gone down into the elevator pit to see if there was any leakage down there. Because as you know, its proximity is very near that pond, right back behind it, right? So there's a couple of things we have requested in the April 1st budget with the board approved. Gutters. Architects hate gutters. They're not real pretty on buildings, but if you look right outside where that mansard roof, when in those deluges, it drops right down outside those fitness center windows, it's caused some erosion. So we're putting the gutters up there. We're also going to seal between the slab and the foundation there. We're going to put some rocks. So I know this is the short version, promise me. But we will pull up the carpet. We are going to have that sealed and redone again. It is in a preventative and proactive effort to try and prevent anything. Like I said, we never want mold. So that's why it's pretty long and drawn out, but that's the reason.
Great, thank you, Ginger. Next up on the list with our committees, I will go with lawn and landscaping. Dave?
There's a couple of topics I'd like to talk about. The first one is our queen palms, our beautiful and magnificent queen palms. I asked Rick a couple months ago to give us an idea, how many queen palms do we have in the area? And the number came back about 7,500. They're beautiful. We see them when we think of Florida, and I know living in Michigan, when I think of Florida, I think of our queen palms. Sometimes they have Christmas lights on them, and sometimes they're just in all the ads. But we have a problem. They're under attack. And they're under attack from a fungus. When the palms are weak, the fungus will attack them. And we've seen through our communities that over the years, the older communities have a lot less palm trees because of the disease. The landscape committee as well as the tree committee have looked at this, trying to identify how we can help support our queen palms. And there's two things we can do. Number one is we've worked with the pruners to cut the trees. Typically, your queen palm in nature will be of a ball shape. And you'll see the green fronds all the way around, and at the bottom there's dead fronds. But that is a healthy palm tree. For aesthetic purposes, what we do, we trim them back so that they look uniform in the community. And in the past, there's been a situation where they've been over-pruned. And I call it carrot topping, but if you think of 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock, that's how the palm trees were being pruned in the past. We've changed that with the contractors so that you have a 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock. And what we're saying is that's the boot is where the frond is attached to the trunk of the palm tree. It's got to be at those angles. So you're currently going to see more fronds hanging down, but it's healthier for the trees. And I know we had to repeatedly go back to the landscape contractor to get that change made. And we're not doing, this is based on the University of Florida best practices, but that's one way that we can keep the palm trees healthy. The other one is that we have 2 fertilizations in the landscape contract, and we're proposing adding 2 more. Again, best practices from the University of Florida. I asked Rick, as he was doing his aerial, he took aerial photographs off the web and actually counted every palm tree. Okay, it came up with 7,500. I don't know how long that took, Rick, but thank you. Rick also went out and got bids from our 3 contractors to do the fertilizations, and we're in the final process of coming up with a plan for the community to add 2 additional fertilizations. I think in the future landscape contracts, we will include 4 fertilizations. So between the improved pruning practice and the additional fertilizations, hopefully our queen palms will be around for a long time. The second one is the landscape committee on February 28th is going to have basically a meet and greet with the landscape contractors. We're going to have 3 sections for each of the 3 contractors. We're going to allow the contractor to come in and tell us a little bit about who they are and what they do and how they actually work in the community as far as the mow crews, the pruning crews, and we're going to give them 20 minutes to explain what they do. We're also going to have a couple other presentations. Paul Woods from LOLM is going to explain to the community what he does as oversight, coming in monthly to review what they've done. And again, we look at best practices for the community. Paul Woods enforces those with the contractors. And it is typically a pretty strong conversation that goes on as him directing the contractors as what to do. We're also going to have the new work order system. Mabel's going to give a presentation on that. And I think it should be very interesting for everybody, and hope to see you there. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Rick Massme, any words from the promotion committee?
Question,
Oh, I'm sorry, question, yes.
where and what time is this taking place on the 28th?
Dave, can you answer that one?
Ma Bell is going to put out a mailer into the president's mailboxes, if not today, on Monday, and it'll give all the details, plus she's going to broadcast an email to everybody, either today or Monday. So we'll have that on to you quite quickly.
Thank you. Any other questions from Dave? All right, great, Dave, thank you. Rick?
We just have two quick items, one for the Community Promotion Committee. You got the report, I guess it was last month, about the comparison between communities. The committee is now working on website comparisons and recommendations, which will be brought forward to the board for their recommendations. And they're also looking at programs on how to develop goals or trends of where the baby boomers will be looking for in the future in the way of residence. That's a continuing situation that the promotion committee will be working on. You'll get periodic updates. The other thing on the standing election committee, just want to bring attention to all the members that are here from District 1, 7, 8, and 9. Your district directors are up for election. We know we have a lot of people out there with the talent that can assist Kings Point. Don't sit in the background. Get up here, take a hold of the steering wheel, and help us do what's right for the rest of you. Notices will be going out next week. Letters of intent. Please find people that are qualified, or if you're qualified, come forward and join your community's effort. Thank you.
Okay, good, thank you, Rick. Janice, anything you want to bring us up to speed on?
The insurance committee is currently working on the, waiting for the RFP's due date, which is January 24th. They're due into the attorney's office, Bush Ross, before 4 p.m., at which time we will then be opening them, reviewing them, and rating them, and coming up with the top agents that we would like to interview. And interviews will be taking place the week of February 3rd through the 7th. And then a decision will be made. So that's our timeline for the RFPs for the insurance.
Thank you. Thank you. Next on our list of committees would be, Noreen, you want to bring us up to speed on any, nothing?
No news.
Well, just say that and we're good.
I'm in health and safety, and at this point I have no updates, no news. We're working on sliders for the card room, and it's kind of a little bit of a process because they have to be glued on, some of them need new feet, so, but that's being worked on.
But I believe that's turning out to be very positive, and it seems to be working very well in what you guys have already gotten.
Very positive.
Very good, good, excellent, very good. And I think Matt's been involved in that as well. Matt from Moose, so we thank everybody for doing that. I think it's going to be a much more positive environment trying to move those chairs in the future. And the plan, I understand, is to do them all on the 24th when this unit will be closed because of the water shut off. So we'll get it all done at the same time. Work for efficiency. Very good. Excellent. Thank you. Next on the list is Treasurer's Report. Now, oh, sorry, contract. Let me get Jack in there. Contract. Bring us up to date.
It's okay, I'm going to make mine real short, Alan, so we can get to your important stuff. We have received final approval from the Federation attorney on the first service contract. It is entirely renegotiated. The board is currently reviewing it, and it will most likely be on the agenda for the Federation board meeting the first week in February. And then it will be distributed to the membership for their voting on it. Understand that This year, we did an entire new contract. We did not take the previous contract and just make changes to it. So it's an entire new contract. So it will require the members to peruse through the contract. We insured, and I can tell you that Dan and I and Ryan and Rebecca, who's sitting over to our side, went through the existing First Service contract line by line to make sure that everything that was important and necessary within the current contract was included within the new contract. So you will be seeing that contract and most likely be requested to vote on it. It is a 3-year contract that would run from 2020, April 1st to 2023, March 31st. And you should be expect to see that during the month of February.
As Jack says, it's very important that you guys read on it because you actually do make the ultimate and final decisions on these processes. So we want you to be informed and we want you to be involved. All right. Alan, now we'll get to you. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ryan. The third quarter is completed, so the third quarter financial reports are done. The total assets as of December 31st is approximately $571,000. I'm not going to read every dollar and every cent. I'll give you just, because I'm sure you're interested, and a lot of people, most people are not accountants and want me to report every dollar and every cent, so just kind of give you a picture of this. So total assets of $571,000, that did increase by $114,000 approximately, but the total current liabilities, which are our reserves, increased by about $37,000 at $436,000. The total members' equity, $135,000, increased by about $77,000. Now, I got to tell you though, this $135,000 increase in members' equity, it increased by about $77,000, but almost all of that, about $75,000, is simply a timing in payment issue. And I'll tell you about that later. So it increased this quarter. It's going to really reverse the next quarter. It's a timing, and that's basically the assets as well. About 65% of that asset increase, again, $75,000, is a timing item. One of the invoices that was supposed to be paid in the third quarter wasn't paid and was paid in January, so it'll show up on the next quarter. So, next item, and again, the revenues are coming in just right on target. That's just automatic. That's just the amount that's added in there, just automatic. So that's just done. The administrative, again, is very $71 spent throughout the year. Very right on target. The utilities right on target. This again is the contract, $74,945. That item should have been paid. That is actually a Brightview invoice. Their November invoice should have been paid in December, but they had a problem. They didn't submit it correctly or submit it on time. It didn't get in, and it wasn't paid until January, so that'll get offset in the fourth quarter. But that's why that increased so much, that balance increased so much. And then the next item, or the next page, is all of our reserves. As you can see, there's balance in landscape. The insurance deductible, you continue to do very, very good on that. Revenues increased by about $24,000. We only had about $9,400 in claims in the third quarter. So that did increase the balance by about $14,000. Oops, where is it? There it is. That balance increased by about $14,000, so that's a good thing. Grounds cleanup, legal fund continues to have no expenditures and growth. This legal fund balance of $22,500 approximately By the fourth quarter, that's going to reach 25,000, which according to the bylaws and according to our administrative codes, that's the balance that we want to have in that legal fund in case it's to be used. So by the end of the fourth quarter, that's going to be 25,000. The professional services, we continue to use quite a bit of legal services that the balance stayed about the same, 6,700. We basically used all of the money that came in, all the revenues, about 14,000 what came in and was spent in the last quarter. The contracts again continue to be pretty consistent, been increased by a little bit by about $1,500. Community promotion again is on track, increased by about $1,200. Our registration fees continue to come in, and we really have no expenditures, no additional expenditures in the third quarter. So the balance of 122,000 increased by about 15,000. So this is basically the reserves, the liability portion, and all of that increased by approximately 37,000 in the third quarter. So that's the treasurer's report. Any questions?
Okay, thank you, Al. Thank you. All right, as far as the president's report, I just want to say that 2019 was a great start. This is my first official and full year as president. I think 2020 is going to be an awesome next step. It is, as Rick mentioned, election time for both the association boards as well as the federation, and it's your time to have a real voice and get involved in the game, essentially. I guess the simplest thing you can do is cast a vote. That's at least participation, or the greatest thing you can do is actually get involved for one of the open seats that's here and come forward. I think we've learned this board has worked together well this year, and we had some new people coming in the mix with ideas, and they've learned where those ideas fit, how they fit, and how we can make it move forward and do good things. So it's been a positive thing. I wanted to address an issue that's come up to me 3 or 4 times, not a lot, but one person wanted me to kind of make a statement this morning, so I think I'll address that. And there's been a few people who have asked about the few items that have been increased in pricing in the South Club. There are certainly a few that have been. There are some social and business reasons for that increase. We've gone over those with Ginger in our workshop, and we clearly understand what's happening within the world. I'm going to give you kind of a brief overview, not a full economics lesson, but when the word tariff war comes into play, the bottom line is that countries battling between exports and imports, and honestly, it's going to filter down to the cost of goods, essentially cost of goods and services. We've got debates going on right now, nationally as well as locally, on wages. National trucking increases have occurred. Cost of goods, cost of shipping, those have all increased. And essentially, that becomes good old-fashioned free enterprise and capitalism. The companies that supply us goods and services usually make choices in advance of actually getting any increases or what's going to happen. They raise the price to kind of offset what they're projecting is going to happen, and we're not any different than that. We've had increases ranging anywhere from about 5% all the way up to as much, I think, Ginger, you talked about as much as 30%. Is that correct? 25%. So essentially, it's kind of like going to the grocery store. When the cost of goods increase, when you buy your food, it's going to cost you more. We're no different. I will say that KP only raises prices if and when it's necessary to adjust to the prevailing market factors. And there's no difference in, when you go to the grocery store and you see the produce and meat increase, that's because the cost of those products have increased. I want us to also remember, and I'm actually now getting involved more in this industry, being as a licensed CAM now. I'm going out and starting to talk to other communities and do research and take some of the stuff that I've learned here and look at it and compare out there. We have an incredible environment inside this gate, whether you know it or not. If you don't get out, you just don't know it. If you do get out, you'll be aware of it. But we live in a very amenity-rich environment. We're actually pretty close to resort level living. This community, it's got many attractive features and enjoyable functions. There are expenses that are inherent with this type of lifestyle and environment. Everybody's sensitive to the fact that we are a group of people that live on a income that is fixed at some level, so I know that. We've got to start thinking differently. Every step that we take currently, this board, the management companies involved, we do talk about this stuff regularly. We're taking every step we can to keep this a great value, a wonderful experience, and keep it at a reasonable price. I'll reinforce that $700,000 came off the recreation budget this year. That doesn't mean those things will not be done sometime down the road, but we were able to defer that cost from your pocketbook this year. So we're trying to work as efficiently as we can. I will continue, whether I'm standing here as a president, director of District 1, board member, just citizen of Kings Point, I will constantly talk about the Community Sustainability Program. It's a concept that, and an initiative that would control cost and look for alternative revenues outside of assessments. The assessments is where most communities get their money, which is out of your pocket. We are a unique environment here. We have amenities that create revenue. That revenue can be used as a surplus. It isn't a profit, like a not-for-profit profit situation. It's surplus that offsets those amenities that do nothing but generate expenses. We've got 6 beautiful pools. Not one of them produce a penny of revenue for you. Is that right, Ginger? But they all have a expense to keep up and running. So we've got to look at ways to utilize our amenities in a productive way to create additional revenue, non-assessment type revenue. I think there's 3 ways. There's certainly we need to start a conversation. I know this conversation was started in the past and it hit a brick wall pretty quickly, I understand, but it's time to move forward. We need to have our own real estate brokerage on property. We need to address the insurance, Mike, and I thank you for bringing up your concerns and your advocacy. It is part of the discussion that we should be having. Also, I've got people now calling me about alternative energy innovation. People saying we should be using solar, we should be doing new things to cut our expenses and our costs. I'm reaching out to them for ideas. They've already shared a number with me. The state of Florida just wrote in some new credits for solar energy. It is a thought process. Hey, if you don't think about innovative ways of generating additional revenue to offset your expenses, don't really come to me and go, I live on a fixed income. I get it. We all do. We all do. I understand that. But we got to be creative, and we got to think differently. Because if we're not innovative with the future, we will gloriously die in our past. I mean, that's just simple as the way it goes. So I'm trying to get thoughts generated, ideas brought in. Yep, I happen to be around people that know stuff. I'm fortunate in my life. I'm not one of them. I just hang around with a lot of people who know stuff. And they generate revenue, and they know how to do stuff. So I am going to be shouting this out long and hard, and hopefully somewhere along the line we'll get innovative people that'll step up and say we need to do more creative things than we are right now, because I don't want it all coming out of my pocket. So that's my goal for the future here, and I'll work with everybody that I can to make it work so we can keep our costs low, our experience high, and make sure we're doing the right things for everybody that's an owner in Kings Point. So thank you. According to the agenda, we have no unfinished business. We have no new business, so that would then take us to good and welfare. Dan, come on down. Turn your mic on, Dan. That's how we get you right there, buddy.
Dan Page, Treasurer of Andover T. Recently, there was a sinkhole between Andover C and D in the county area. I had contacted First Service, Federation, and Master. Fortunately, someone in the Andover C had the expertise, and they told me that when it's a county easement, the county is responsible for sinkholes. The person contacted the county. The first person he spoke to said it's not their responsibility. He went up three or four layers of management before he found someone who knew that it was the responsibility of the county. and they came within several days and filled the hole in. So if anyone has a problem on an easement, it's the county's responsibility. Also, on the park driving into Kings Point, I came in about 5 o'clock last night. With the 2 lanes open, the traffic was backed up quite a bit. When they close at 7 o'clock, people have told me sometimes there's 3 or 4 light changes before they can get in. What is the reason for closing the lane at 7 o'clock rather than leaving it open till 9 or 10?
And Dan, that's a question you asked me, and I will get with Ginger, and we will discuss that and make sure that we assess that. So thank you. Thank you very much. On this line, Ray, I got you on the list here from this morning, so.
My name is Ray Glover. I'm president of the Rules Association, Kings Point Recreation Facilities. Rules Association annual meeting will take place here about 15 minutes after this meeting is concluded. If you are going to leave, please fill out a limited proxy. Then you can get out of here. Otherwise, we're going to have to lock the doors. So please, if you need one, let me know now. I'll pass it out right now. Thank you.
This is important so they can actually have their meeting. I know that's a challenge for Ray and Forrest in the past of getting people for that particular situation. So please either fill out a proxy or stay for the meeting. We'd appreciate it. Mike, I'm going to hold you and go over here if that's okay.
Beverly Weaver from Radisson 1. I just want to let you all know that the Spectrum store that was supposed to be open in Big Bend Road is not open yet. And they anticipate that it may be open by April or May. We had made an announcement that it was going to be open in December.
Okay.
So the current stores in Bradenton and Brandon are the closest.
Great.
And then I have a concern for the landscaping committee. One of our vendors is driving their little carts outside of the back gate along the back street and parking. They park their equipment off of one of the driveways. It's a very dangerous situation.
Could you get
There
with me?
has been accidents.
Could you get with me after the meeting and let's discuss that and we'll figure it out?
I just want to let you know, I actually saw one of those carts go all the way out to Wendy's.
Right. Okay, and the best process for that would be to keep it within an email. Just send an email to your POC at firstservice.com or firstserviceresidential.com. That way we get it on paper and we get them in place where they can go out and they can make sure that they get in contact with the vendor and let them know that's happening. So thank you for bringing their attention. Thank you. Thank you. All right, Mike.
Okay, now I'm going to talk to you something about that you're going to like because it's free. You don't have to pay for it. All of you got a flyer on the desk. It's meant for you to distribute. We have gotten together at the emergency squad, by the way, I'm the chief, you didn't recognize that now, represent the emergency squad. We partnered with Samaritan Services and the Security Patrol. If you didn't, and Security Patrol to put on an event, and that is to tell you about a disaster preparedness for homeowners. This is not going to be sales gimmick, none of that. It's only to tell you what you need to know as a homeowner in regard to this before, during, and after a storm, what you should be looking at, what you need to know. And bringing the experts in to tell you about it. If you need a special needs shelter, we're going to have the person here from Department of Health that is going to tell you what you have to do, what you have to fill out, and where you're going to have to go and all the logistics for it. We're going to tell you about if you can go to a regular shelter. We're going to tell you about looking at your policy to find out what insurance. You make the business decision, but you're going to be told what is on it and what that means. That's all. Then you make a decision. We want to protect you. I assure you that if something goes, we have 40 to 50% of the residents in Kings Point have never been through a hurricane. It is a dramatic event if you ever get hit. Just look at the pictures from Andrew or Mexico Beach. You'll see what devastation could be like. We've been in it in the past. We want to prevent and make sure that you're all healthy. Now, just to make sure that it's all honest, I don't think Fred is here. Did Fred come in from the Security Patrol? He had a conflict, I'm not sure he was able to come. Julie from Samaritan Services here, I want to appreciate it, and some of you will know that in the past, it's not been easy for the service organizations to work together. We couldn't even be in the same room. Now we're partnering with them. So that is an example to this community of how you can work with one another and get something done. And that's the whole end of it. This is the last rodeo for many in this room, is being here. We need to make it as best we can for what we have. So there are flyers on here. These are going to be distributed, the color versions of it. A lot of people have went in to try and make this happen. There will be raffles. There will be cookies. I learned in Kings Point when I moved in the value of a cookie. So there will be cookies and refreshments there. There will also be raffles. And there will be things given away that other organizations have donated. The next item I'd like to tell you about is volunteerism. Volunteerism, this community was built on volunteerism. I started counting up the number of positions when you figure about boards, clubs, service organizations. I got kind of dizzy because there were over 6,000 positions when I stopped counting. It's a lot of people that need to take to make this community run and give you the kind of amenities that Ryan was talking about. They can benefit from your expertise and your knowledge in a lot of these ways to do it and make this community run smooth. But there is another benefit that we don't mention, that what volunteerism does for you. It gives you a reason to get up in the morning. It keeps your mind active. It's important when you get on there. You will find out if you come here and you're retired and you sit in front of the TV, it's a long ways to being on the other side. You need to do those things that involve you. That doesn't mean you come and volunteer for the emergency squad. You may do Samaritans. You may jump on the board here at the Federation. That's your choice. Do those things. But get out and do something. Be an active member and give of your knowledge. Thank you very much. I'll get off myself.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you. Mike is very much right. Preparation is the better part of execution. That's the thing. You got to be able to prepare. So that seminar is going to be excellent. I'm certain that you'll learn a lot of things. Next in line. Just pick the whole mic stand up and walk around like a singer.
Okay, I got it in my hands now. I'm Bill Humes, Manchester 1. I'd like to suggest to the group that we need to have a grant writer someplace in our organizational structure. The clubs are ineffective in handling grant writing. We've done grant writings to Hillsborough County, to the state, and so forth. Representing a small club as an individual isn't the kind of thing that gets grants to us, but representing that need for those small clubs or even large clubs can get more attention when we represent 5,600 homes. So there's a lot of money to be had out there in the community, but we need somebody that knows something about grant writing and put our total resources to work.
That's correct. Thank you. Absolutely. Absolutely. There's money sitting out there. We need to pick it up. No question. Dale?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Dale Dewar, Oxford 2. If I heard correctly when Ma Bell was mentioning how many the percentage of presidents that are here and are not here, I'm disappointed on the percentage of presidents that are not here, or maybe I shouldn't say presidents, boards that are not represented. And I'm just wondering if everybody realizes that if you, the president, cannot be here, which I know all of us are very busy, send somebody else from the board. And maybe it's a moot point because those of you that care are here today, and I look around every month and it seems like it's the same people that are here and it's the same presidents or board that is not represented. Somehow or another, maybe we can reach out to those presidents or those boards or those residents and say, maybe you need to start looking further into your community and find someone else that can represent you, because I feel that when I'm not here, I'm missing out on a lot of information that I can take back to my residents. And those residents that are not represented here are not getting a good chance and a good deal in finding out what they are missing out. So I'm just wondering if maybe we can go back and talk to someone from those boards that are not represented. It's just something I've been wanting to say about this. It seems like it's the same people that are missing every month, month after month. Thank you.
Thank you. Dave?
One last comment on the new work order system. The availability to get into the system is restricted to officers and directors of your association. So in order to put a work order into the system, you have to be an officer or a director. That's a little change from before, but that's the way it has to be done according to the new system. Just thought I'd mention that for you.
Hey, thanks, Dave. All righty, I just have for
Ryan, before you go. Over the last week, and I thank Ginger and Vesta for taking care of this, if you notice coming in to the front of the North Club, the benches have been moved farther to the side. They are still under the covered area. What Vesta has done, at a suggestion of the board, is both sides used to be smoking where those benches were. No longer are both sides smoking. There is one side that has a large no smoking sign on it, so for the people who go outside to wait for the bus or wait for pickup, you don't want to be around the smoke, you can go to the side of the club that is no smoking. There's the bench sitting there. The benches have been moved. If you notice, and be sure to check it on your way out, that whole area has been all re-landscaped around the entrance to the doors. If you're looking at the entrance, the smoking section and bench and smoking receptacle can is on the left-hand side looking at it. And I thank Ginger for taking care of this and getting these smokers as far away from the front door as we could in complying with the state law and having that all re-landscaped. So thank you very much for the work on doing that.
All right, thank you, guys. Thank you. I'll just finish the District 1. We're going to have a meet and greet, social, town hall, whatever you want to call it, on February 7th at 1 p.m. in the banquet room. So dovetailing on what Dell said, let's all get out and talk to people we know within District 1 and get them out to this town hall so we can talk about where we're going for our next year. My position is up for election, so we'll have to let's see which way we want to go with that and determine what our goals are. We'll have that on December 7th at 1 p.m. in the afternoon, the banquet room. All right, I'm sorry? What did I say? February 7th. Did I say January 7th? Did I say December? It's the drugs. They kick in, man. I'm telling you, you don't know when you're in. February 7th. It's February 7th. February 7th at 1 p.m. in the banquet room. All right, very good. Excellent. A motion to adjourn. So moved. Go enjoy your day.